Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn how to configure unified communications in Inform Voice. First, let's introduce the concept of user-centric users. We are used in the legacy telephony to talk about extension numbers and names assigned to those extension numbers. This is what we call address-based approach. Inform Voice uses the user-based approach, where everything is all about the user, the user's identity, the user's devices that he might own, one or multiple devices, the user's present status, if he's on the phone or not, or if he is on a meeting, and the user's preferences. How can the user control the preference of himself or herself and not the individual devices he owns? Let's describe how Inform Voice works with presence or status. Inform Voice consolidate the status of all the user's devices in one consolidated status. If Dave is busy on a phone, for example, and he also owns a soft phone on a computer and even another phone at home, the overall status of Dave will be on a call. Something similar happens if he is on a meeting. He will be on a meeting, maybe on his computer, but the overall status will be on a meeting. The second concept is a single number. That single number will identify the users. It would be something like the directory number for that particular user. Even if the user owns different devices and each device will have its own number, everybody else can call the user by one number and one number only. And the user controls which devices will ring when that number is called. Finally, let's talk about users' preferences. When we talk about user-centric users, now the preference is based on the user and not on the individual devices the user owns. For example, calls can be forwarded based on different items like the time of day or the caller ID of Dave Curran's presence. But it's not that Dave has to individually forward each of his devices to a destination. He forwards himself to the destination. And the devices can still ring while the call is being forwarded. That's an option. Let's prepare the system for a user-centric environment. First, we will need to open our Inform Voice Administrator. We will go to the General tab and click on the plus sign that opens up all our system items, and we will locate our item called Local Area Networks. We already have certain areas defined because our example is a company that has locations in different cities. So we created a local area network for each city to handle the codec that will be used in communication between offices. But here we will add to those local area networks the elements necessary to handle user-centric application. So let's open up the first local area network. And you will see in the bottom half of the screen a RIA server communication item here. The RIA server will be the server that will receive the communication from the unified communication client. So we will need to add a name to the cluster of Chicago. So we will name it Chicago. This name will be able to be selected by the users when they first run the client application that we call UC client, and they need to select which is the server they need to connect. And then we will need to add cluster addresses, which has to be names or IP addresses. I'm not favoring IP addresses because IP addresses cannot handle security. But we will add a name and we will add an IP address for the sake of this example. So let's add the name of the server that will receive those communications. So it's our own inform voice server. So which is T7 UBU 2204.01. And we can also add its IP address. One note is that this name needs to be included in the certificate that we import into Inform Voice, which we did during the commissioning. And this is the name I used at that time. That's okay. And as we have only one server, let's repeat this for the other servers, the other local area networks. And let's do it for Orlando as well. We'll give it a name and we'll give it the address of our Ubuntu server. And finally, its IP address. So with that, we prepared the RIA server module to receive requests from UC clients. Next, we will need to commission the instant messaging server. The clients can communicate with each other using instant messaging, but we will need to initialize the instant messaging server within Inform Voice, which is already installed. We just need to commission it. So for that, we need to go to the Tools menu, and you will see a Commission IM server item here. As you see, the status is yellow because it's already installed, but it's not commissioned. So we will set it to active. We will click on the next screen. And then you will see there are a few items to select. The way that the servers can access or connect to this IAM server is through names, and the default setting is to use an SRV record, which I don't have set up. So I'm not going to use an SRV record, and I need to change it to something else. So I will use the name of the server. Mm. This security key is already defined in the system and the IAM server itself, but if we change it, we can change it, and we need to change it in the IAM server as well, and I will show you in a second. So first we will commission it. We need to restart the process. That's finished. Now, if we need to make modifications to the IAM server configuration, we need to go to the system properties, and now we will see a tab called IAM server. So we will see here that we have the IAM server set and the parameters that we can change. If we need to review some configuration or status, we can go to the IAM server admin console using this button. But it says it can't establish a secure connection. No problem, because we can establish a non-secure connection using a different port. As you can see, this is based on a well-known XMPP implementation called OpenFire. The credentials are admin, and you can see there is the screen that shows you different statuses, configuration. I'm interested in see if my Inform Voice connected to the IAM server module, so I can go to server settings, connection managers, and I will see my manager connected. It's the same server, so the address is the local host address, but this confirms that my IAM server is connected. So we can log out, and we are good to go. Now we need to prepare the users for the user-centric environment. First, we will convert our users to user-centric, just because I didn't do it when I created the users. There is an easy way to convert all the users at once or several users. I can open up all my users in my users tab, and I don't need to worry about the support account, but all the other accounts, I select them, I right click, and I can change properties in groups or bulk. So here is our user-centric item. I can click on it. I apply to make sure it applies. It says it will do certain changes in the extensions and move them to the users. I say yes. And now we will have all the users set up as user-centric. And we show you Nancy Masters, one of them. And now you will see that there is a user groups tab where we can add user groups. I will explain in a second what they mean. And now you will see that the forwarding tab is moved to the user. because now a user has control of its forwarding capabilities and not each address one by one. We will see in the Addresses tab that the user can have multiple extension numbers. And there are two columns in this screen called the Prefer Address one and the Offering another one. The Offering tab is the tab that controls how many devices will ring simultaneously when the user is called. And the preferred address would be the address that identifies the user. This selection can be done during the administration part of the user here, as the administrator is creating or modifying users, but the user himself, through the use of the client application, can control this setting as well. Finally, let's talk about these user groups that I mentioned before. You might remember that in order to use the Park application or in order to use post-secretary services, we need to assign address groups. So the extensions are part of that address group. And we also assign rights to the users to be able to monitor or supervise those address groups. When it comes to user-centric users, the equivalent concept is a user group. So now we will need to create user groups for other users to see them, to see the presence and to see the status. So how do we create those user groups? Well, we need to go to the user lists item here, and you will see a user groups item. We will open it up. There are no users defined yet, so we need to add one. So let's add one user group as an example. The user groups are generally departments, areas, offices. So we can, for example, create an office group. So, and now I can add all the users that belong to the Chicago office. So now I cannot select it by name, by number, because there are no numbers here. So I need to know their names so I can select them. So I can click on Nancy, then click on Miller, so I can control here and click on Andy Miller, Susan Smith, Dave Jackson, Dan Carson, Pam Jones. Where's Pam Jones? Oh, here, Pam Jones. And Kate Davis and Brian Waters. Okay, okay, and here the group is created. So if you want to check under users, I can go to Nancy Masters and I now see that now Nancy belongs to user group Chicago. The next step would be to install the UC client and to add certain features in order for the users to be able to see each other. But this will be in a different video. Thank you, and see you in the next one.